to Imaginative Visions Journeys, where creators from the entertainment world discuss their journey to turning their dreams into reality. With your host, Justin D. Williams.
Welcome to Imaginative Visions Journeys, episode 3. Justin here, and today I have a really great guest. Today we have Matt Wagner. I pronounced that right, correct? And we are going to be talking about his music, and this is also for Tacos and Geeks as well, which is our featured Geeks Who Do Music. And we're going to kick this thing off first. Matt, tell us your artist name, and let's talk a little bit first about your origins. When did you discover your love for music?
Yeah, totally. So my artist name is Mnerva, and I started releasing music in early 2020, so right before the world ended, all that good stuff. But music's always been a part of my life. Both my parents are actually musicians. So my dad's a drummer, my mom's a singer. Actually met in a jazz trio back in the 80s.
Oh, wow.
And, then I came around eventually, and so music's definitely always just been around the house. I remember being age 5 and looking at my dad like, can I learn how to play the drums? And I just kind of fell into it from there. And I remember joining my first band when I was like 13, and that was it from there. I caught the songwriting bug hard, and I was like, wait, but I can't write songs from the drums. So I taught myself piano at that point. And then when I got to college, I got really into hip hop and really into rapping. And so that kind of became part of the journey as well, because I always had like this rock background. And so now with Mnerva, I've been trying to take that rock background and that hip hop, new discovery, and really find a way to like blend that together in new ways, for like, what would that sound like in 2021?
And that's really interesting, because you started off rock, and then you infused hip hop with it. So do you remember any hip hop influences that you listened to that was like, you know what, let me see if I can combine it? Because just listen to your song Stuck, it reminded me a lot of that LP Linkin Park type of feel with it. And we're going to talk about Stuck in a bit, but do you remember any type of artists that you used to listen to that you would just go, you know what, I like this sound, I like how let me try a sound like that or something similar to it?
Yeah, totally. So you got the nail right in the head. Linkin Park was definitely one of the bands that got me right into music. It was them and The Fray, actually, if you remember them, were the two artists that was like, I want to do this with my life. Oh, my God. And so then from the hip hop side of things, like obviously Eminem, changed the game for everybody. But also J. Cole was a huge one for me, as well as Childish Gambino and Logic. Those are definitely the big four for me. Just really falling in love with hip hop again. Because whenever I consumed rap, it was always like the Linkin Parks of the world, the Papa Roaches of the world, the PODs of the world. And obviously they were rappers and very underrated in my opinion, but really diving into just the hip hop side of things, that those four are really the big MCs that got me into it. And then I went through history, rediscovered like Tupac and Biggie and all those classic guys like the NWAs of the world. And that really gave me an appreciation for just, where the art form really came from. Because so much hip hop, it's about history. And I feel like so many artists don't really realize that much anymore, because music has gotten so fast where it's like a new song is coming out every single day, so you never need to go back. But how can you make something new and cool if you don't know what you're building off of?
Exactly. And do you remember, since we're still on origins, do you remember your first performance and what were you feeling when you did it?
Oh God, yes I do actually. I was 13 years old. It was a block party for my neighborhood, actually, and my parents were the band actually for everything, and they then gave me and my buddies, we were like 12 or 13 and stuff like that, a little 5-song spot. So we did all cover music and one original. The original was the instrumental though, so it was like a little guitar trio, guitar, bass, drums. But I remember no one really could sing in the band. So I had to step up and do it, because I was the only one who could kind of hold a tune. You know what I mean? So I'm over here, playing drums and singing at the same time. I think I was singing Rush, if I remember correctly. Super high, Geddy Lee stuff. I hadn't hit puberty, so it was easy at the time. Then it got much harder. And I just remember doing that and seeing the way the crowd reacted. And it was all parents and friends and stuff, but I was like, this is so cool. And like, I was always enamored by like, wow, 3 people can make a song, like can play music and make something that sounds like the record. That's so cool, because it's like, there was no backing tracks at the time. It was just, that made me really fall in love with music. And then that band really pushed me. It's like we were all competitive with each other, because when I joined, I was by far the worst musician because they were just insane. And then like, over the course of the few years we were together, it was like, okay, cool. Oh, hey man, check this thing out that I just learned how to do. And like that friendly competition really made us like just incredible musicians.
And that's one thing I always liked about musicians, is that, like you were just alluding to, was you harnessing your craft, practice with shows. And tell us a little bit more about that, like how you developed your skills.
Yeah, totally. So I was gonna say definitely as far as from a drumming perspective go, I mean, I was very bullied a lot growing up. So because of that, like while everyone else was going out to like movies and stuff, I was just, in the shed playing drums like all day. And really I got into singing and into rapping a lot because it was emotional catharsis for like dealing with a lot of those things. And I know you said we were going to talk about like roadblocks later, so we'll get into all that eventually. Yeah. But, that was really how it worked for me. Like people are always like, do you get nervous for shows? I'm like, nah, man, I've been performing in front of my wall since I was 14 years old. You know what I mean? And so like, yeah, sure, there aren't people in front of it, but it's the exact same thing. You know what I mean? And so yeah, music really started out as like that emotional release for me, and like, like just screaming these songs at the top of my lungs about like, all the angst I felt. And yeah, that really turned into, whenever I finally did start performing, it was like, oh, this is easy. I'm just doing the exact same things I'd always do. They're just people watching now. And now you can feed off that. And I actually used to play on, I live in Nashville, and I used to play on this strip called Broadway for a while, which is like where all the country clubs are. And so like country clubs, like they play country music kind of thing. And so, yeah, for a while there, I want to say like a year and a half, I'd be playing like 4 shows a week, if I remember correctly. I was still in college too. So I'd like play from like 10 to 2 a.m. and then like go to class at 8 a.m. the next day. To do that. Yeah, the beauty of youth. But from playing that, it's like, all right, cool. Like if you screw up, it's a moment. You just move on from there. And like, that really, you can try new things because, all right, I know I'm going to be here tomorrow. It's like no big deal. And so that really was how I got my performance chops up. And now that I'm finally starting to play my own Mnerva shows, it's like, all right, cool. Like this feels safe. This feels comfortable. This feels really familiar. It's really nice.
Exactly. And you alluded to earlier that you also obviously write your own material. You write your own music, which is a huge thing that most artists should be doing. Not a lot of artists do that these days anymore. But can you tell us a little bit about your writing process when it comes to certain some of your songs, such as Stuck, Geek? What was going? Especially, let's talk about Geek first. What was the writing process with Geek? Was with that one?
Dude, Geek was like the most fun song I've ever written in my life. I remember when I finally landed on, okay, cool, my artist name is Mnerva. I really want to tell my story, like, through music and everything. I was like, okay, well, every rapper's got like that braggadocious flex song, right?
Yes.
And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm a very unconfident person. Like, I don't have that swagger, and I've never really wanted to. Like, I've always been like the outcast and the uncool kid, like growing up. And so I was like, okay, what's my version of that? What would that look like? And I was working at a restaurant actually, and I was like bussing tables, and I remember just being like, first track, got to show all the people that I can rap combat. And I was like, ooh. Okay. So I was going to the bathroom and like starting writing stuff, and then I was like, I'm a motherfucking geek, but you're only better than me. I was like, that's it. That's my first single. I gotta write this. And so over the course of the next like 3 restaurant shifts, I'd just be like, like thinking of bars in my head and just writing them. And I was like, I'm a total nerd. I should just like, feed into this. Like, there are going to be people who relate to this a lot. And I remember like people always talk about like that song. They're like, dude's referencing like anime, like Marvel, like Harry Potter. Like, it's like, my God, he like knows his stuff. And I'm like, oh dude, like I am a proud geek and otaku through and through. I mean, like literally like right before this interview, I was like, I'm halfway through reading One Piece.
Nice.
I've done like 600 chapters in a month. It's a problem.
I'm trying to get, like, my friends always tell me, I gotta watch the show. I'm like, the episodes or the episode length is like so long, and I'm just like, yeah, that's so intimidating just to start. Just how long it is. Like for me, I was like, I could go beyond. I could do like a Yu Yu Hakusho because it's like 121. I was like, okay, I can start there. 600, 800. That's like, I'll be here all. That's going to take a couple. I'll have to probably watch 5 episodes a day, or just for an entire year, just to try to catch up with how much episodes that and Detective Conan and all of them have over there. But let's actually talk about. We'll talk a little bit more about the geek origins in a minute. But tell us how you got your artist name, Mnerva.
Yeah, totally. So I was working at a guitar shop as an HR guy. Actually, it was like a internship with college, and it was my last day, and I was like, okay, I've been working a 9 to 5 for like 6 months now. This sucks. Like, the pay's great, but I can't do this anymore. And I was just kind of like, there's got to be more to life than this. And I was listening to music just on my last day, like, typing away. And the song Mnerva by Deftones came on my shuffle. And I don't really know why, but I was just listening to the song, and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. Like, hearing this song this new way. And I was like, what if someone took like this shoegaze, like synths and guitars? Like, I don't know, whenever I listen to bands like Deftones or like My Bloody Valentine, I just feel like I'm kind of floating, you know what I mean? And so I was like, what if someone took like those atmospheric guitars and synths and put like trap beats over it? And like, what if I called it like Mnerva? And I was like, oh, I'm getting at something here. This is fun. So then I kind of looked up like what Mnerva is, and it's the Roman goddess of wisdom. So I was like, cool. I want to take the conventional wisdom of like, fusing rock and hip hop and like turn it on its head. Cause like, we have the Linkin Parks of the world. We have like, all those like old bands from like the late 90s, early 2000s. I'm like, cool, but like, what would that look like now? And so, yeah, especially with my new debut EP that I'm working towards right now. It's coming out October 15th. It's looking like, actually. So,
nice.
Heard it here first. But with that project, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm really digging back into that rock roots, because that's like how I fell in love with music, you know what I mean? And so that really, the name and the symbol too, like my logo, it's this thing called a wisdom knot, but I've turned it this way because, again, it's like that's what I want to do to, like, the industry and bring that style of music back to the mainstream.
Amazing. And we're going to get into the next section of our podcast here, which we call roadblocks, where we all discuss, usually, because every journey has roadblocks to where we get to our destination. Obviously, now you are a musician, so you did reach your destination. So what were some of the roadblocks you faced getting to the journey of where you are right now?
Oh, God. I'd say the biggest one is just getting my mental health together, to be honest. Like, I was always like the really happy kid growing up, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, like I got a great family, like got good friends, like life's great. Like I have nothing to be sad about, you know what I mean? But in reality, I was bullied my entire life, and just like, I never had confidence like in myself whatsoever. So going to the music career, it was like, cool, I'd be writing these songs, and I knew my music was good, but I didn't know how to spread that and how to voice that. And it's like, I knew it was good here, but I didn't believe in myself. And it was really I felt like I was shooting myself in the foot a lot, especially like when I was releasing songs like Geek and Grown Up and Bad Guy and Famous, like that whole first round of like debut singles. Like, I love those songs, but I feel like I really did them a disservice because like I wasn't fighting for like my artist career yet. And then with the pandemic and all that, just brought all these things up further to the surface. So really the way I got through that roadblock was, I've been in therapy now for like probably about 6 months now, something like that. And honestly, it's changed my life, just the way I look at things. And like, I'm actually in Hawaii right now, visiting my mom's side of the family. And it's been so interesting, like seeing like, oh my God, this is where some of my habits and patterns come from. Cause like, this is my childhood, and like, wow, I'm looking at like, this place in a whole new way that I thought I knew everything about from like growing up here, but it's like, no, I'm like, wow, this makes sense why I have this behavior pattern now based on these stimuli, you know what I mean? And so just having that ability to analyze, like, my life, it's one, helped my songwriting, and two, it's just made me able to like, really push Mnerva forward. And like, I got a bunch of shows lined up for Nashville, like right now, whenever I head back to town, and I'm so excited to like, text everyone I know about them constantly. Cause I've always known my music is good. I know I'm a good songwriter, but now like I really do believe in what I'm doing, and I'm excited to like, take that now to the end.
And that's what's always like, just from my previous guests that I had on the show too, that's been the one main concept of the confidence. And really, like, even myself as a creator myself, when I come do my books, release my comic books, like that nervousness is just like, oh my God, how are people going to perceive me? Is it going to be received well? And and especially with mental health as well, with the especially as a musician, like for you to go through that and just come out of that is just amazing. It's just like you battled your mental health and you're going through it, and you're still writing, you're still going for it. And just for the audience, just to, those who are going to be watching and listen to this, that's what the journey's about. You know, we all have these roadblocks, and we continue to just keep pressing forward and pressing forward and pressing forward, and you're still chasing that goal and that dream. And that's just, to me, that's just absolutely amazing, man. Really is.
Thank you so much, man. And really the other big roadblock I really have faced, and I'm still dealing with this one, was wanting to do too many things. Like when I first came to Nashville, I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna join a band, right? And it was like, I'm a drummer, I'm all these different things, but like then I fell in love with musical theater for a little bit there, and I still love theater. My claim to fame is I wrote a musical that went viral a long time ago, but that's another story. But because I was working on this musical for so long while also working on Mnerva, it's like, while my other friends would just be working on one thing and just going up, slowly up, I'd be like, okay, a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. And it's like, I'm still to this day working on like 2 different careers at the exact same time. And it's like, that definitely slows down my progress and like, my focus as well. And it's very much sometimes I'm like, wow, I really wish I would just be content doing one thing. But it's like, hey, I'm a dreamer. I've always have been, and have a lot of ambition. And like, that's a good thing. And I really need to remember to give myself grace whenever things aren't moving as fast as they can be. Like, again, I'm in Hawaii right now, like at a family reunion. People are asking me like, what's going on? And I'm like, I can only really tell them like so many things, because it's like, hey, well, I got this project that's going, I got this one going. It's like, I got my eggs in a lot of different baskets, but like nothing's hit yet. But like, one day something will. And I just need to remember, it's like, hey, you lay a brick down every day. One day you're going to have a wall.
Exactly. And I had the same problem as you with you when it comes to juggling multiple ambitions. You want to do this, but you also want to do this. And then you got to spend time and energy on this one. It's just like, it's kind of like, choose your passion, but they're both your passions. So it's like, you have to dedicate your time both equally to those passions, but at the same time, sometimes one overlaps the other. And that's I think that's for me and just a lot of creative people, because we're creators, we're artists. So there's always going to be more than one thing and more than one idea for us to really express ourselves. And that's always going to be, I think that's a roadblock for all of us when it comes to that. Like, that's always going to be around. Like, you want to do this, but you also got this. As an artist and you write your music, have you experienced writer's block when it comes to a concept of a song that you wanted to write? You're just like, I had the concept in my head, but I don't have the lyrics yet. And do you hear the instrumental first, or do you have the music that you want to hear first before you write the lyrics, or do you have the lyrics first?
So I'm definitely really weird, where I tend to write, especially when I'm writing raps and hip hop, I tend to write everything completely a cappella, actually. And being a drummer, like I always get rhythm. Like, that always made a lot of sense to me. Like, learning melody was a lot harder for me because I didn't have that harmonic background. But so whenever I'm going into a session, I'll literally like take a click track, put on a voice memo, and just rap the whole song like to a click track, and then send it to my producer and be like, all right, cool. And now I'm hearing this musically, but like, let me know what you think. Because like, hey, this obviously, we can do literally anything with this song right now. And so that definitely has always been my process there. And then if I'm writing some with melody, I usually, put down a basic chord structure and then kind of send it in from there. But as far as writer's block go, I actually have this one song. It's not going to come out for probably another year or so. But I first wrote the song in its very proto form. I want to say it was fall of 2015. And the idea was, I can't wait till you forget about me. It was about an ex-girlfriend I have. And I jokingly say I brought this song idea to like every co-write I went to for like the next 5 years, and I just never got it right. But I don't know. I was like, no, I believe in this. It's a really good idea. I know that this can be good. And so I was actually in a write with my new roommate and a while ago, and we were just talking, and I was talking about how like I finally made amends with this person, and like, I just feel really bad that like, I messed her up in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, because I mean, hey, everyone grows up and does douchebag things, and like, it's how you learn from them that defines how you are. And I just remember being like, I'm so sorry that this girl loved me. And I was like, oh, that's the angle I need to do. I'm so sorry that you love me, so please forget about me. Perfect. And so yeah, then when I finished writing the song, it was like, oh my God, this song has like literally been in my head 5 years in the making. And now I think it's my best song that I got. So I'm like, all right, cool. It won't be on my next record. It'll be on the one after that. But I'm like, that's just so, I feel like so many songwriters and so many artists, like they write the song and then they forget about it. And it's like, no, every idea you have can be a brilliant idea. You just have to like work it and mold it. We're sculptors, if you will. It's like, just because you like, don't get something right the first time, that doesn't mean like, like the actual like product itself is bad. It just means, okay, cool. You just got to take it from a new angle. You got to bring new people in. Like, I got another song. This one's going to be on my next record. It's the last song. It's called the Interview. And same thing. I wrote the first draft of this in March of 2016.
Oh, wow.
And I think I've written the song 12 times, if I remember correctly. And just, it's kind of followed me just as I've grown up as a person throughout life. And the whole point of the song is like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And in 5 years, I hope it gets better than this, like where I'm at right now. So it's now in March of 2021. It was officially 5 years since I started the song. And it was really cool to be able to look back on it like, okay, I'm so much happier now than I was back then. And I know in 5 years from now, things are going to work out. Like, just because, again, I'm going to work my ass off. I'm going to make it happen. You know what I mean? And like, it may not look the way I want to, but I know it's going to be better than what I'm at right now. And so that song, it's how I end all my shows. It's truly like the most validating like musical experience I've probably ever had, but I couldn't get it right. And so I brought in other people. Like I was only writing it by myself. Song never had a chorus until like 4 years in, you know what I mean? And then I brought my buddy Corey Shore and Cypress, and she's actually featured on the song. And yeah, when we finally got that chorus done, I was like, that's it. All right, it's perfect. Took me 5 years, but this was worth it.
Whew. That's gonna be so five. Wow. So you started writing it 5 years, and now it's kind of like that movie Boyhood. Like you start this thing, and now you see it as the growth goes from those 5 years. That's absolutely amazing. We're gonna go from the roadblocks. So after the roadblocks, you did your origins. You told us a little about your roadblocks. Now you're at your destination. You're at the journey. So now we're going to talk about some of the songs. And one of my favorite songs is definitely Stuck. I've been playing that. Geek and Stuck, I've been playing just nonstop. I absolutely love Stuck. I just your voice and that, and just the rap, man, it was excellent. How did that song come about as well? Was Stuck?
So that one, so the world ended in March of 2020.
Yeah.
It was a great time. We all loved it. But yeah, basically, I had like March 15th was like the worst day of my life. I crashed my car. I lost my job. I found out I was gonna have to move out of the place I was living in. So I was like, screw it, man. I'm moving home because like I lost everything in one day.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I ended up moving home. And first month, man, I was the most productive I've ever been. I like made a whole music video for myself in quarantine for like my second single, moving. But like, I don't know, after a while, it was like not being able to play shows. It was just like, what's going on? What's the point of this? I feel like racking up my numbers is just for my vanity. It's not actually to like get opportunities. You know what I mean? It just felt really hollow. You know what I mean? Like, cool, I'm doing this, but I'm not moving forward at all. And so I just got really depressed, man. It was really one of the darker times of my life, if I'm being honest. And I just remember being like, I need to move back to Nashville, but just there was so much uncertainty when it came to COVID. And I mean, seriously, bless my parents. They were incredible and like, really helped me get through this like tough time. Cause like, I don't know, like I never expected to come home. Like once I left for college, I was like, cool, that's it. It's like, I need to be where there's music. And like growing up in Darnestown, Maryland, there is no music. And that was really hard. And so when I finally did get back to Nashville, like I hadn't written a Mnerva song in a very long time. Like during quarantine, I wrote another musical actually. So I definitely get stuff done with that, but it was like Mnerva was definitely on the back burner. I mean, I was releasing music, but my heart wasn't in it. It was like I was doing this because I felt like I was obligated to, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
So then I stopped releasing altogether back in October. And when I finally did move back to Nashville, I got together with my buddy Corey Shore, who writes most of my music with me, and I was just like, dude, I got something to say, man. And so we got the beat together, and dude, I want to say we got that whole song done in like an hour and a half or something like that. And that never happened to me. I like everything I write is slow burns. Like, got to make sure every lyric's right, every part's right. And I literally just told you I took 5 years to write a song.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so we got that whole thing done quickly. And like that chorus, I think I wrote in like 10 minutes or something like that. And like he got the melody going, and I was like, okay, well, you got the puzzle pieces. Let me just put some words to it now. And that's just what I wanted to say for the entire quarantine, because I just felt so lost. I felt like I was like pushing away everyone who cared about me, because like, I didn't love myself. And I always never did, but the quarantine really brought it to the forefront. You know what I mean? And that was the moment when I was like, I need help. This is really not good. And so then I started enrolling in therapy, and I really feel like I've been in the up ever since. I mean, like, finally got fantastic girlfriends, like, like got a good job. Things are like, for the day job, like to pay for music, like, I'm very content with where I'm at in life right now, but I really wouldn't have realized that I needed help without writing stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, like me saying like, at the rate I'm going, I'm gonna end up all alone. Like that's really how it felt. And like, I'm very glad that I have so many good people around me to like hold me accountable.
Which is always like something I always tell people is like, our support system is one of our most strongest things that really holds us together. And especially during this end of the world times, like we definitely, that support system keeps us going and keeps that rock going. And we're gonna have some little fun here now, because you reached your journey, but you also alluded that you are a geek. You did name drop One Piece. So let's talk a little bit about, let's talk some geek stuff. You just mentioned your otaku as well. So what are you currently watching? Well, let's start with the hard question. What's your favorite anime?
Oh God, I'm gonna be basic for a second. Naruto's what got me started on this journey. I will always fight for Naruto, even though obviously it has its corny moments and everything. I still love it, but and even though the ending was trash and Boruto, part one of Naruto, I will always say is the perfect anime in my opinion.
Yeah,
I literally like everything from like the Land of Waves arc to the Sasuke retrieval arc. I mean, my God, it is. I remember watching that when I was like, oh God, it probably aired when I was like 12 or 13. I remember like watching like that Toonami block religiously, you know what I mean? And like getting to that Naruto versus Sasuke fight, and then it's like, wait, Naruto lost? What? Spoiler warning, by the way, for everybody. But yeah, being like that was just so mind blowing to me, and really, I think my love of anime is why I love long form storytelling. Like, as I said, I wrote a musical, and obviously very different art forms, musicals and anime, but like it's long form storytelling. Like songwriting is, you got 3 minutes, short form, you do your thing. Like that's episodic American TV shows, like it's style. Anime though, it's like, I mean, my God, you're watching these characters grow from like, beginning to end, and it's a wild thing. But yes, as far as my favorite anime though, Hunter x Hunter. I mean, my God, I remember first watching the Chimera Ant arc and just being floored of just how incredible Togashi is. And also Yu Yu Hakusho is another personal favorite of mine.
Classic.
I remember watching from the Toonami block on, and I actually rewatched it all in college then, and I was like, oh my God, this is like, it's so cool seeing like the seeds of like what Hunter x Hunter was gonna be, because like, with the Sesshui arc and everything, he was like, starting to allude to all that stuff, but then his back went out, so he had to cut the whole series short. And like, hey, I'm always praying for his recovery. But yeah, that's it. I'm deep in the One Piece hole right now. I've read chapter 650 or something like that, and I started like a month ago. So
oh my gosh, I'm literally like Yu Yu Hakusho. I mean, Yu Yu Hakusho for me is like, I like Yu Yu Hakusho better than most of them. I don't know. It's just, for me, I think character-wise, I think Yusuke was just freaking amazing. Most people, they usually just go straight to Dragon Ball Z, Super. I mean, right now I'm old school, so I'm watching like Tenchi Muyo again. Gundam, Mobile Suit Gundam, and I started watching some of the new summer anime right now on Crunchyroll. It's okay. Some of them is okay. It's a lot. My like most annoying and anime cliche that I see a lot is that for some reason these parents are never around in anime. It's like, I forgot what show it is. It's just like, It's this show that's on Summer Anime right now. I can't remember the title for the life of me, but it's the premise is that this guy has two girlfriends, and somehow and they're in junior high, and somehow miraculously they're all living together with no parents. I'm just like, how, how does this work?
Eastern culture, man, it's so different for us.
Yeah. So, I mean, so you're big on One Piece, but do you also game? And if you game, what are you currently playing, or what sparks your interest there?
Man, I always say I could have been such an intense gamer because I remember having an Xbox back in the day and being like the Call of Duty kid like everybody else was back in like early high school. But I actually quit cold turkey when I was
Oh wow.
when I was 17, just because I was like, okay, cool. How much time am I putting into like gaming when I come into music? You know what I mean? And I think it was the right call. But like to this day, like the game that I always go back to is Star Wars: The Knights of the Old Republic. I play it at least once a year. That game, 2003, like good old D&D style RPG, and like, dude, that story, it's one of the best things ever. I mean, truly, the second game I like even more actually, even though it was unfinished. But thank God they finally made the restoration mod 10 years later.
Yeah,
That got me back deep in that hole, man. I think I put like 350 hours into the second game, like on Steam since it came out in like 2015. It's a problem. But yeah, for me, it's like gaming is now more of a like nostalgia vehicle for me than something I'm really keeping up with. Like, dude, games have gotten so good. Like the way the Last of Us series has gone, and like Witcher. I mean, it's just incredible seeing how it became like, oh, this kind of fun thing that nerds do to like, no, this is an art form, and like getting to watch that, that transition has been really cool. Like, just being around it my whole life.
And that progression, and just to piggyback off what you just said with Knights of the Old Republic, that is Bioware. To me, that's Bioware's greatest creation. Those two games, 1 and 2. I'm like you. I like 2 a little bit more than 1, just mainly because the lore was explored a little bit more deeper with the Sith in 2. And just the way, like, I'm not sure. How did you play? Did you play Jedi or did you go full Sith, or did you kind of balance it out as you
definitely balance it out at this point. I'll definitely say that because, dude, when I say I've played that game so many times, like I've gotten to the point, like I literally did a playthrough one time where I'm like, okay, cool, I'm gonna use no weapons. I'm just going to use my hands and beat Darth Malik, and I did it. Or okay, cool, I only can use one gun, and that is all I can use for the entire game. Like I used to like challenge myself. Okay, cool, I'm gonna do a playthrough where I wear no armor the entire time. I just wear my clothing. So I've played light side, I played dark side. I did this thing called the Deadpool playthrough one time where I had to keep myself completely neutral the whole game, and I only could use swords. It was great, but like just stuff like that. I know that game a little too well, if I'm being honest. Like I got all my roommates into it at one point, and they were like, oh yeah, like I'm stuck on this. I'm like, oh yeah, well no shit. Like if you put on this armor, you do this crystal formation. Okay, cool. Now do this attack combination. They're like, how do you know that? I'm like, dude, I've been doing this for like 15 years. But I don't know. For me, like the characters are just so lovable, and like that's the thing with all Bioware games. Like I was really into Mass Effect before I quit cold turkey, and the third game's ending is still one of the biggest travesties of my life. I had this thing, man, and I'm really scared for One Piece now that I'm getting into it because every time I love a series or love a franchise, it ends terribly or just doesn't end. Like Attack on Titan, for example. I don't know if you've read the ending of the manga. I won't spoil it.
Not yet. But I've heard, I did hear. You can spoil it, so just a quick spoiler. Go ahead, Matt.
I won't dive in. I won't save anybody that. But I want to punch like the wall, like reading that. And or like How I Met Your Mother was like my favorite sitcom growing up, and that ended horrendous.
That's my favorite show, and that ending was just like, I get it, but at the same time, I was like, really? This entire time she's dead. This entire. I mean, I figured she because I remember I did an article where I predicted it, and this was like way before season 9. It was like that episode when Ted said 45 days, like he wanted 45 days. I was like, okay, they just alluded to that she's dead because why would he need an extra 45 days if she's not here? So I just put 2 and 2 together. Then comes season 9, she's dead. I was like, oh, and then he ends up with Robin, and we're like, Oh, okay. That kind of defeats the purpose. But
See, for me, man, it was like this. I had no problem with her dying. I had no problem because, like, hey, that's life, and like,
yeah,
it's not about like, the. I got so much like life wisdom as a child from watching How I Met Your Mother, and like I rewatch it now just because it's like I get something new as I get
every
older
time.
with perspective. And I just remember being like, okay, yeah, that's life. It's like, tragedy is going to happen, but be thankful that you had those moments like with your friends, with like, the woman of your dreams. So like her being dead didn't bother me, especially because it gave a reason to tell the story to the kids. It was the last 5 minutes with him getting together with Robin. It was like the best scene in that show. It's in season 9. It's when Robin's like, I want to run away with you. And then he's like, no, I don't want you. That was like, okay, finally. It took him 9 years of character growth to get here, but he finally did it. And it was like, I remember for me, like growing up, I had my own Robin, like as a girl, you know what I mean? And then
Yeah,
that like that, I was like, oh my God, I'm destined to end up with this girl. Because that's what the show is telling me is like, life is scripted. Life is like, it's this terrible thing. And I literally wrote a song called Robin about how I feel about that whole
oh
situation.
wow.
Yeah. I'll probably put on a mixtape at some point. But so yeah, all the series I love always end really poorly. Like also, oh my God, Knights of the Old Republic again, not getting the third game and like ending on the cliffhanger and like it's all these things. So dude, I'm getting into One Piece right now, and I am deep in on One Piece, and I'm like, please don't tell me the One Piece was the friends we made along the way. Don't break my heart. Don't do it. But no, honestly, I'm on Fishman Island right now, and it is exceptional, and I can not wait to get caught up in Wano and finally do everything. So
Excellent. And we're gonna get to our final segment of the show, which we call the road ahead. So can you
okay.
tell us what is next for you? I know you just alluded to an EP and a couple of shows. So can you plug that in and tell us a little bit about what's coming up next?
Yeah, totally. So I'm on vacation right now, which truly not vacation. I literally have to get so much work done while I'm here. But first things first, my next single, the title track for my debut EP, it's called "Talk Too Much," comes out this Friday, 13th. So very excited about that. Hopefully, it'll have good luck despite the connotation. But yeah, so that's actually the only song I've ever produced myself. And yeah, so also worked to finish it up with my main guy Andrew Gomez, and I'm so excited for everybody to hear that. It's my I wrote it before I got in my current relationship, and it's the reason why I'm alone is because I talk too much, in which I talk too much. So good old there. But yeah, so then my debut EP, Talk Too Much, comes out October 15th. I'm just finishing up all that last minute stuff I gotta get done for it right now, and then after that, I'm playing a show in Nashville every 2 weeks until November. It's looking like right now, so super excited about that, and getting a band together right now, and yeah, it's starting to sound really good, and I'm beyond excited. Hopefully, trying to play some out of town shows as well and start touring once I get the record out. But yeah, that's really what's next for me. And then on top of it all, I'm almost done finishing my second musical. It's called What's Written. It's about survivor's guilt and learning how to love yourself while dealing with the trauma of tragedy. And so yeah, it's about the songwriter named Dylan and how he learns to overcome his inner demon, who is an actual character in the show, through doing therapy with a friend of his, and also through starting a new relationship. So yeah, super excited about that. I think that's truly some of the best music I've ever written. And yeah, hopefully I'm going to be starting to do workshops of that coming this fall as well. So, still working on 2 careers at the same time, but yeah, Mnerva's got that record coming out, and then What's Written, it'll be happening soon. That's a good old rock and hip hop musical is how I'm calling it.
Wow, nice. And where can people follow you? And you have a website you can people can keep up to date with you.
Yeah, totally. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Mnerva Official. On Instagram, you'll see all the good old announcements, and then on TikTok, you'll get to see little snippets of different Mnerva songs, unreleased demos, as well as some. Each day, I post a new verse or chorus from my musical What's Written. I'm on day 92 at this point as we speak right now, so that's a fun little series I'm doing. And then yeah, you can find me on Facebook and YouTube at Mnerva. No I, so it's gonna be Mnerva, because we got to mispronounce things and misspell things in order to have that good SEO. And yeah, that's where you can find me on all that stuff. And yeah, got a lot of new stuff coming in the next 6 months. I'm really excited for.
Matt, it has been a pleasure. I'm definitely gonna keep up with you and have you back probably in a year's time so we could do a follow-up on your journey. Definitely would love to keep in touch with that. It's been a pleasure, brother. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for joining us for Imaginative Visions Journeys. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from Imaginative Visions, you can visit imaginativevisions.com.